But just as we come up to the final question here, 2 weeks ago, the first, no, it wasn't at all. Yeah, 2 weeks ago, the second film of the year I seen was Ant-Man 3. Not bad, but at the same time, come on. But of course, speaking of the Ant-Man, that's my nickname for the great Anthony Cumia, the love of my life. He's a good boy. He's got a lovely smile, friendly. By the way, I just found him on performing with. Do you ever watch the Band Geeks YouTube channel?
No,
never heard of it.
Right, I'm not even kidding you. Don't watch it because it's the cocaine of YouTube. It's these people. They're this unbelievable covers band that they play in a house. And Joe Cumia was with them for a few performances, and then the Ant-Man joined them, and he covered, I've had the time of my life, and Stonehenge, and Anthony singing with this. I'll send you the link. They're fucking amazing. Anyway, what's the question?
Tell me. Ant-Man 3.
Oh yeah.
Tell me about Ant-Man going and somehow into Opie somehow.
There we go. The Ant-Man. So, of course, I love the Ant-Man, but he's a magnet for controversy, and he's got intense haters online to the point that they will make documentaries about the guy and fucking accuse him of, like, serious crimes. It was about maybe not a month ago, but it was a couple of weeks ago. Steel Toe Morning Show made their debut, I should have said, did a special episode for Compound Media. So the question I would have for you, Aaron, is knowing that the controversy that comes around Anthony Cumia, the Ant-Man, what would be and all that stuff, and you doing a little bit of business or association with Compound Media, what do you think of the controversy around Anthony Cumia, the Ant-Man, and the stuff that comes with it?
Look, man, I'm somebody who, like you, was heavily influenced by Anthony Cumia. The Opie and Anthony show kind of was like, for me, when I just started out in broadcasting, was like, holy shit, this is kind of the show that all of us, when we were in broadcasting school, kind of talked about doing. And I'd never heard of their show until I was already doing one. And I went, oh shit, it's okay to do this stuff on the radio. He's a huge influence to me. So, when they offered to work with you, to me, it was a no-brainer. I said yes, and if there's controversy that comes with it, fuck it, because I owe that guy everything I've done in broadcasting. And if it, that it's kind of like called upon to serve, yes, sir. And it was great doing that one special, and it was also great hearing from E-Rock that we're going to be on Compound again. But I really have to practice shutting my fucking mouth, because one thing E-Rock appreciates is, not giving away the tease right away. And I'm terrible at it. So I will just say, I'm on a script. Everything went great with the first special, and you will see us again on Compound Media. There.
But by political. The way, not to change the topic, does anybody find it weird that E-Rock was in Grand Theft Auto and never really talks about it? Like, that's kind of a big deal.
No, not at all, because they were so tied into the making of it. And Laszlo was such a big part of the Opie and Anthony show. It was probably nothing to them, because it's probably all they talked about all the time. And it's like second nature. They were probably just recording shit constantly. So, no, not surprised at all.
What are you shouting at me for? What is it with Chad?
It's a question, damn it.
Fucking Chad.
Hey, shout out.
I gotta get him one of my shirts.
We had our buddy Eastside Dave was in Red Dead Redemption. Also, he made an appearance in Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption.
Whoa.
Okay.
I'll tell you what. I mean, look, it's like what when even though on a different level, when I went after trying to work for Howard way back in the day. I mean, I worked for Howard in 2005, 2006. It was the lure of
name
Howard
dropper
that made me. I will. I don't care. Drop everything you want. It's working for Howard. But when I was working for Howard, I tried to work for Opie and Anthony just as much, because that's where I wanted to land. So in the same kind of vein that Aaron is, if you have that opportunity to work for somebody that you have such an admiration for and was an influence, you go for it. And I don't, blame him at all for wanting to express it or talk about it. Jump to the top of a mountain if you have to. But hey, who cares?
Whatever. I mean, like you, Hughezy, I think when I talked to you on my show, you said interviewing Anthony was one of the that was something like you wanted to check off your list. I mean, that was a big deal for you. Same thing for me. I mean, the nicest fucking guy in the world. And again, huge influence. And like Chad said, I have no problem going, yeah, sure. I'll work with the guy any day of the week. Anything he asks, I'll fucking do it. I mean, it's if there's controversy that comes with it, there's controversy that comes with it. But like I said, I'm not going to let other people say, oh, he's this or oh, he's that. And then me go, oh, yeah, you know what? I really shouldn't work with him. You know, when you do a show on YouTube, you really do have to have a squeaky clean image.
Nicest guy in the world, unless you're born with naturally short, kinky hair. But I've got to say, though, Stevie Lou, from your perspective, because you're sort of like in the scene of those comedians.
Tangentially involved.
Try it again.
Ooh, big words.
Tangentially.
Ooh, no, so are you. So are you.
But tangentially, stupid.
But
tangentially.
But
yes, tangentially.
But I guess the question I would have is, and this is not an insult because I'm still always going to be. We were talking about wrestling earlier. A mark for Anthony Cumia, the Ant-Man. But his let's just say his status. It is in a weird way a defense of him. But like 10 years ago, or maybe it was it 20? No, it was 10 years ago when they were still doing the Opie and Anthony show. That show was a big deal, and if you could get on that show, that was huge for you to promote your book or your Amy Schumer stand-up special or your Aziz Ansari fucking film, whatever it is. He's still one of the greatest podcasters in the world today. But the Anthony Cumia show isn't even a 20th of what the audience that Opie and Anthony had, or should I say the status. So if you go on his show, it's not going to mean immediate success. Basically, but the reason why I say that is that's why I think a lot of the accusations against him are fake. Because if Anthony Cumia is a nobody and he's fucking kids, nobody's going to go on his show. Right. And surely the word would be out if he actually was a pedo. That people are like, no, I'm not going to come on to promote my fucking cookery book because a hot Asian kid sucked your dick on Instagram last night. So Stevie, behind the scenes, what's the gosh darn reputation of Anthony Cumia?
Yeah. Anthony's been a really good sport handling those fucking constant pedo allegations and shit. And I've actually even been approached by people off the record, and they've tried to open my eyes to the fact that blah blah blah, he's a this, that, the other thing. And I've said, okay, show me the proof. Please show me the proof. And every time it's always been, okay, well, you got to look at this guy from Reddit, right? He did this thing on Reddit where I'm like, okay, hold on. So you're saying that this anonymous guy on Reddit did no, that's not proof whatsoever. Yeah. Give me some actual hard, legitimate speck of actual evidence towards this besides some sort of bullshit, horseshit story that you're pulling out of your ass on Reddit, and then we can talk. There is none. I've been involved with the guy now for 7, almost 8 years, being involved one way or another at Compound Media. Never an employee of Compound Media, but involved with some shows there. I've been to the guy's house more than once for a party. I've spent numerous nights hanging out, getting drunk with the guy. He's nothing but a very awesome, well-adjusted American when it comes to it off air. He's a very funny, affable guy with no weird shit that I've seen. Now, that's my limited exposure, but my own personal experience has been nothing but brilliant and awesome with him, and I've never seen nothing that ever brings up any red flag or trigger in my world. So,
and El Horrible, you handsome animal. Excuse me, I've had a couple of drinks, but you look nice. But
no, I've been able to understand about every third word you say.
You racist. But the from your perspective, because you're sort of newish on the scene, so to speak, even though you're already running the show, is that a Spawn mask?
Yes, I mean, I guess it was designed after Spawn, the face. Yes, I don't know. It's not marketed as a Spawn mask. But
Was that the question?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So is it a spoiler? But from your perspective, and of course, you're sort of newish to the scene, and you're building up your YouTube presence, and we'll get all the plugs out of the way soonish. But for your perspective, and you met the Ant-Man, what do you think of the controversy and the rumors?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it's all nonsense, and it's just trolling. You know, trolls like to take any kind of little thing and magnetize it, 100 times. I did meet Missy, Anthony's girlfriend, at DabbleCon, and I can say she is at least 16 years old. At least. But yeah, I mean, Anthony, he seems like a cool guy. Like I said, he was I didn't have too much alone time with him at all at DabbleCon. I wasn't really looking to annoy people. If people came up to me, I was more than happy to talk to them, especially the other comedians and stuff like that. Not that I'm a comedian, but yeah, so I didn't really get to spend too much time with Anthony. But I mean, I've been listening to Anthony since 1999, 98. And, I'm a fan. Just like Aaron said, he's a big part, why I'm sitting here right now.
So I think basically what we have 5 votes in the election to say that Anthony Cumia is a good boy.
Yeah, but let me throw it in, though, from the show perspective. I think the reason that the show maybe doesn't get the same caliber guests that it did even when it started is just because everything's very niche now, and then the podcast
somebody
game
knows big words.
Yeah, well, I'm not Stevie Lou today. I mean, he's throwing out words that I have my little dictionary here to the side looking up. But wow. I think the podcast game is stretched so thin is that people aren't going on every show they used to. So I think the caliber of guests has changed, and where when Anthony started, he was getting some dynamite names on Compound, and just kind of slowly but surely kind of dropped as the years have gone on. I think if he wanted to, he could probably have the same high caliber people on as show every day if he wanted to. But the podcast game, you have nobody's getting these A-list stars on a podcast every day. Who cares? Everybody has a new show that drops every 5 minutes. So I think it's just the way the podcast game has changed. That has changed how Anthony's approach has been. So maybe I'm wrong, but that's just my take.
Well, and I also think that Anthony has he's built up a war chest for himself now, and he's behind his paywall. He can say what he wants. I think he's just literally doing the show he wants to do. Like he doesn't have to worry about a ratings book. He doesn't have to worry about view counts or anything like that. He literally he bought himself his own space on the internet, and you can be sure that everything he does is exactly what he wants to be doing that day.
For the people he wants to see it.
Right.
Does he keep the New York studio when he moves to South Carolina? I see no reason to keep that place.
No, I don't think so.
As soon as he's settled there and Missy's sucking his fucking dick on some hey, she's a hoe. That fucking studio's being shut down.
No, you're smart, and you find.
You know what? I'm gonna be the one to disagree here, and I'm going to say Anthony seems like a remarkably loyal guy who gives a shit, maybe more than a business owner should, about the people that work for him. And I, honest to God, think he's going to keep it there for the guys like Garrett and Gino and Chrissy and all of them to have a place to do their show. There's a part of me that, and look, it's 50-50, but I lean towards, I think he's going to keep it.
But just as we're wrapping up, I've got to ask, of course, Kevin Brennan, of course, El Horrible, what would Kevin Brennan say about Anthony Cumia?
Anthony Cumia is a fucking racist. He's a fucking cheap fuck. He only gave me $100 to be there for 2 fucking hours. He didn't even fucking pay Levy. He's a fucking idiot.
What about Compound fans?
Compound fans? I don't even know what the fuck that is, but they're fucking idiots.
Kevin, are you a Steel Toe fan at all?
Steel Toe does a fucking show in his fucking basement with his wife. He's a fucking idiot.
But of course, thank you, Kevin Brennan, for calling in. You're a good boy with lovely eyes. We all give him credit for the eyes. But one thing that I've got to say that this Brennan versus Cumia feud, it's like the definition of one-sided. But with Brennan and Cumia, it seems like it's 100% a feud in the mind of Brennan, and he keeps seeming to wanting to turn it into a fight, which the Ant-Man, that's Anthony Cumia's nickname, isn't, as we talk about wrestling, selling. So we'll go through just as we're wrapping up here. Steve Lee, what do you think about the Anthony Cumia versus Kevin Brennan feud?
You know, it's like the unstoppable force meets an immovable object. It's two of my biggest, guys that I really look up to in this game, and I put on that pedestal because I think that they're both two of the quickest and funniest and most brutal guys out there. That's why I had so much fun listening to them just whip the shit out of Chad Zumock, for so long. And those days are long gone. So I think it's sad that we won't see those days come back if I'm reading the writing on the wall here, and we'll just have to appreciate the time we had with those two together.
El Horrible, what's your killer take?
Well, I don't really understand why once Kevin left Compound Media, why Anthony was so horrible, and Anthony wasn't horrible while he was at Compound Media. Like, for Kevin to talk about how racist Anthony is and all these things, I mean, Kevin has said the N-word plenty of times on Compound Media. I mean, he looks very hypocritical to me.
Hang on, what's the N-word? I don't know. I'm so non-racist, I don't know this term.
I'm not even.
Is anyone else sitting here going, I'm going to be the one to take the fucking shot? I'll do it. No.
No. Well, it's going to get bleeped anyway, but.
Well, I do have a question. I found a clip of Billy West as Bugs Bunny saying, what's up? And then he says the word. Weep. Yeah. Do you think that is a drop that I could use because it's not me saying it?
And no.
On your Patreon.
It's Bugs Bunny.
Yeah. Although I have heard, I don't know if you heard, in the past 24 hours, apparently YouTube have admitted that they were too extreme on the censorship of swearing. So now we can say stuff like and cum shot and big hairy and stuff like that, and not
serious?
have to. Yeah, apparently I'll send you the link. I
don't believe it. I still think people are going to get popped for it, but I think it's nice that they admitted it.
It feels like they're setting them up.
Yeah.
Also, El Harible, where did you get a video of Bugs Bunny driving?
No, he wasn't driving. And actually, he only says the first three letters. So it's like pig, but with an N. So is that any better? So, what's up, pig?
I don't know. Why don't you go ahead and say it? We'll find out.
And anyway, Stevie Lee, why would Bugs Bunny be on a golf course?
Yeah, that's right. He's driving her
to get Michael Jordan to defeat the aliens, of course, in a basketball game.
Maybe he was looking for the O.J. Simpson killer.
Yeah, Space Jam, great film. They should make a sequel. Chad, what's your take on the Cumia versus Brennan feud? Is it one-sided or is it
I love the daily, Brennan beat, I guess rants. I love those, but number one never goes off on number two. So I do love the fact that there's a very little response from Anthony outside of that first day. So Kevin can keep, kind of yelling all he wants, and Anthony really just kind of no-sells it. And I think that that's even more kind of funnier than anything. So, I hope it goes on as long as it can, because it's really the most interesting thing than really any other feud, because Kevin just keeps yelling up and Anthony just keeps looking down. So number one never acknowledges number two.
And Aaron, you've been very much on the inside. I think you've done both of the shows this year alone. What's going on with the Ant-Man versus Big Dawg Kev?
I'll tell you this, you know me, I don't like to give specifics. I'll just say Kevin Brennan, when I talked to him off the air, nowhere near the Kevin Brennan that I talked to on the air. It was like a different guy. Incredibly nice, incredibly polite, gracious, whatever. But I don't want to say what we talked about or anything, but I think you can guess. But as far as him and Anthony goes, I mean, look, Kevin needs it. Like Kevin has to have that. That's the plutonium that powers his DeLorean. Like he can't do Misery Loves Company without a beef with somebody. He needs an angle. He needs somebody to go against. That's not like a traditional talk show. It's a beef show. So he's got to have the Anthony feud, and Anthony doesn't need it. Like we said, Anthony just does a show where he talks about whatever he wants to talk about, as Chad said, for who he's doing it for. And Kevin needs Anthony. Anthony doesn't need Kevin. And if we're going to get the situation that Hughezy was talking about, where they're going to be fine eventually and they're going to hook back up again, it's going to have to be Kevin going back hat in hand to Anthony, because I don't think Anthony gives a shit.
For a third time.
Yeah.
And also, he needs to get 1.21 gigawatts of power to get
hatred. 1.21 gigawatts of hatred.
But see, now is this Opie going on MLC legit tomorrow, the Friday, as we're recording this on a Thursday? Is that legit? Because that could add a whole new wrinkle to the story. So if that's legit, I think that this is must see TV.
It is, but
if there's a beach ball full of hate, nobody's better at keeping it up in the air than Kevin. I mean,
but I think that El Harible said it best, as usual, that it's weird that Brennan decided now to have a problem with the Ant-Man, Anthony Cumia's nickname, than he did a couple of weeks ago. But listen, I don't mean to wrap things up early, but somebody just DM'd me a photograph of my house, so I've got to go investigate this stuff. But I wanna thank everybody so much for taking way more time than they should have. That this went long. El Harible, so handsome. You're really making me feel emasculated even more so than Creed 3. Let's not get into it. And I want to thank Chad for coming back on, Stevie, El Harible, and Aaron for coming on. And we give a big wave for all the boys and girls back home as we say goodbye, everybody. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Ray DeVito set Chad up.